Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Unlocking Lore S2, second season. Unlocking Lore Live. I am your host, Maria. And I can see amazing people already in the chat. Hail chat. We got R to the Icky, my good friend and co-host. Awesome to see you here. Dunedin, as always, also there. Thank you so much for coming. And TD's in the house. What's up, TD? I haven't seen you here in a long time. So glad you can come. And of course, Avery. Oopsies. Avery's here. Sorry, I had a little problem with the thing. Hey, Avery. Thank you so much for coming. Yes, like a Pokemon. Huh? I choose you. Thank you so much for coming. And it's Mrs. R2 the Icky. Is little Spidey in the house? I hope little Spidey's in there because he's going to have a really, really cool time. I was told there would be beers and tacos. No, my good man, it would be pizza and beer or a really nice fat steak, like medium rare, and beer. No tacos. I'm sorry. That would be for Tuesday. That would be Tuesday tacos. So, besides, I think I drunk all my beer. I gotta go check my stash. You never know. And of course, Tom, thank you so much for coming. I hope this is going to help you unwind. The last time you were you told me that was a nice time, you know. The special episode, the one on Sunday, is like, oh yeah, you helped me unwind. I'm like, you know what? That's really, really that makes me feel so happy. So, any cocktails? Well, you're the expert, Tom. You're the expert on cocktails. I do not know. I only drink them, but I have to be honest. I prefer like straight drinks, you could say, like pure beer or pure, glass of wine, more than cocktails. I did have a cocktail a couple weeks ago. I had a friend over at my house. She came from the capital. She was staying with us, and she made, what did she make? I don't remember, but it was definitely some sort of cocktail that had mint, pisco, because that's like the national drink, pisco, and well, it was sweet. It was good. I had it right before like Legion's panel, so that was fun. So tacos ain't good for a Thursday. Yep, it's so true. Mojito, that'd be nice. But like I said, I prefer like straight drinks more than cocktails. But anyway, I'm open-minded, you know. Not so much of a purist. I can do some stuff. I do like pisco sour. I do enjoy pisco sour, a little bit more dry than sweet. There is a drink called agarrobina here, which is made from pisco. It's kind of strong, and that's really nice. You guys can look it up on Google. So, but thank you so much for coming, and I really, really want to thank you for being there on Sunday. Yes, Sunday. Yes, Sunday. Which was World Storytelling Day. I had a blast. It was really, really nice to have my two good friends, Richard Marsh and Tim Araneta, who have their own styles. And like I said before, Richard has been living for 42 years in Ireland, and he has learned Gaelic. I mean, he has learned Celtic just to research really, really old tales. So it's really amazing to actually hear him. And he has definitely a very, very different style than Tim Araneta. Tim Araneta is actually more of an actor. He did major in acting, but he passed. You could say he went over to storytelling, and that's what he does for a living. So it's really, really awesome. I only met Tim when I was over in Fremont before I knew R2, because if I knew R2 back in 2019, I definitely would have met him in the Bay Area or at least somewhere in San Francisco. But we didn't know each other, and I was there for about 5 days. So it was, pretty sad, but anyway, that's fate. So anyway, tonight I have a very, very simple story. It's a nice, it's not a quick story, but it's a really, really nice story. It's not very long either. Very old. This is a very old story. And I really hope you guys enjoy it. I've told this story at a international storytelling conference, online conference, back in 2020, where I was emceeing. Yeah, I was emceeing a Spanish-speaking storytelling event, not a conference. It was an event. It was 4 hours. 4 hours of pure storytelling. I was working with an American friend and storyteller, Sheila Arnold, and she contacted me because since I was bilingual, she wanted a Spanish-speaking storytelling event. And yeah, we just looked up all the storytellers, and it was great. It was really, really fun, and I got to tell this story, which now I am about to tell you. So, hope you guys are ready. I definitely am. And I guess without further ado, let's do this. Do you know how this world is completely upside down? I mean, if you just look at the news, you go say clown world. Well, the world has always been that way. Because in this story, oh man, boy, these things were pretty upside down as well. This is the tale of the Three Sillies. You see, once upon a time, in a faraway land, there was a farm. In that farm, there lived a family, a father, a mother, and a beautiful daughter. And that daughter, she was being courted. And the handsome young man would go there and, say sweet words to the girl. They would walk around during the sunset hand in hand. The parents would look at each other and smile. This was definitely going somewhere. And well, they chanced one day to invite the youth to dinner. Oh, what a splendid dinner. And it was one of those big farmer meals. And the father said, my young daughter, please go to the cellar, to the basement, and bring back a jug of beer. This girl had done this several times. She went up and said, yes, father, I will. And up she went, she grabbed the jug, and she went downstairs to the cellar. There was a big keg there. She went up, she pulled it, and she was just waiting for the jug to fill with beer. And as you know, when sometimes, you're waiting for things, you're waiting in a line, or you're waiting for something, patiently, you start looking around. And the girl started looking around and around until she looked up. And up, far up on the wall near the ceiling, there was a mallet. And it was just there, hanging. And the girl started thinking, that mallet, it's there. Well, it's so dangerous to have a mallet so far up. What what would happen if we got married and we had a son, and that son would grow up into a fine young man and would go down to the cellar to find a jug of beer, and the mallet would fall down and it would bash his brain and he would get killed, and oh my God, it would be so terrible. And she still got so worked up, and she started to cry. And she sat down by a stool and she started crying and crying and crying. Oh, that would be so terrible, my dear son. And the jug left on the floor, and the beer just gushing out. Well, the young man and the two parents were just waiting there, kind of. And the beer? Oh, what's going on? So the mother got up, she went down to the cellar. And what did she see? Beer flowing down all over the floor, and the girl just wailing and wailing. Oh, mother! Oh. The mother, all concerned, went up and said, what happened, my darling? What happened? Oh, mother, would you look at that mallet that is up there? And the wife looked up and said, oh, yes. But what is a mallet doing there? Oh, what would happen if my man and I would get married and we'd have a son, and the son would grow up into a fine young man, and the fine young man would go down to the cellar, and the cellar to grab a jug of beer, and then the mallet would fall on his head and would bash his brain, and he would die. And the wife looked at the daughter, and tears in her eyes. Oh, my sweet baby, that would be so terrible. Oh, and the two women sat down, and they started crying and crying and crying and crying, and the beer kept on flowing. Time went by, and the youth and the father, well, they ran out of conversations, and the father said, well, what's going on here? So he got up. He went down to the cellar. And what did he find? The mother and the daughter just wailing and wailing and crying on to the other shoulder. Oh. And the father went concerned to both mother and daughter, said, what's going on? What happened? Why are you in this state? And the wife looked at her husband and said, oh, my love, do you see that mallet that is up there? And the father looked up and said, what is a mallet doing up there? Oh, yes, I remember. Yes, the help that left it there. Oh, my love, what would happen if our daughter married the person upstairs, the man that's so fine, a youth, and they had a baby, they had a boy, and the boy grew up into a fine man. The fine man went down to the cellar to get a jug of beer, and the mallet would fall down and bash his brains, and he would die. It would be so terrible. And the father, who was a loving father, concerned for both mother and daughter, felt tears well up in his eyes and started to gush out. That would be so terrible. And he started crying. And he sat down and started crying with both his wife and his daughter, and the beer still flowed. Until finally the youth got impatient, got up, went down to the cellar, and what did he see? Mother, father, and daughter crying and wailing. Now he was a man with a somewhat of a strong temper and said, "What's going on here?" And the three sniffed up and said, "Oh, oh, my boy, do you see that mallet?" said the father. And the young man looked up and said, "Yes. What's wrong with it?" "Oh, we're just so pained. What would happen if you and my daughter would get married and we would have a son, and the son would grow up into a fine young man, and the fine young man went down to the cellar to grab a jug of beer, and then the mallet would fall off and bash his brains and he would die. That would be so terrible." And the young man couldn't believe his eyes. The three, wailing and crying. And what happened to him? He couldn't help himself. And he started to laugh. Well, this is the most silliest thing that I have ever heard. I have traveled far and wide, but I have never heard such ridiculous things. He would laugh and laugh. And at being laughed at, well, the family didn't like that, so they stopped crying. And the man finally got a hold of himself and said, "Listen, I am very, very much attached to your daughter, but this is out of this world. So I propose this. I will leave for a time. You get yourself together. And if I find 3 sillier things than what I have just heard here, I will come back and marry your daughter." The family was aghast. He would leave. But such a scene, they accepted. So off he went. He grabbed his things and he started his journey. And he walked and he walked and he walked far and wide, village after village after village. But he had not heard anything sillier than that. Until finally, between 2 villages, there was a cottage. And what did he see? Incredible. A woman with a big clutch, one of these big sticks, was whacking at a poor cow. And the cow was standing in front of a ladder. The ladder was edged up to the ceiling. And he was whacking and trying to get the cow up the ladder. The young man was astonished. He went to the woman and said, "Woman, excuse me, what are you doing?" The woman, who was very much tired at trying to haul the cow up, looked at the young man and said, "Well, can't you see? Don't you have eyes? I'm trying to get my cow up because there's a lot of grass that grew on the roof of my cottage, and I want the cow to eat it. Well, don't you know what cows eat?" The man was, "Cow up on the roof." "Are you sure you want to do that, ma'am?" "Of course I want to do it. I gotta get that grass cut. There's no better way to do it than my cow," said the woman. And the man went up and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, wouldn't it be better if you went up, cut the grass, and gave it to your cow instead of, hauling it up? He may fall down." "Oh, what do you know? I'm going to get my cow up, and then I'm going to grab this rope. I'm going to put it around the cow's neck, and then I'm going to put it down the chimney and, tie it to my ankle. That way, if the cow falls, I will know exactly when he does, and nothing's going to happen. Besides, mind your own business." The man couldn't stop laughing at the proposal, but he minded his own business. So off he went. And he was a few yards further when he looked around and saw that the woman was able to get the cow up on the rooftop, had tied the rope, as she said, to the cow's neck, saw how she put it down the chimney. She went down and went inside. And he started to walk, but he didn't take many paces when all of a sudden there was a huge crash. He looked around, and there, long far away, was the cow on the ground, and the woman, it was left up to his own imagination. That's one of the most silliest things I've ever heard. Well, that's one. Let's keep going. And he went. And he walked 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 until he came to another village. And it was dusk. So he decided to find an inn. But unfortunately, the inn was packed. So they put him with another person, another man. Well, he didn't mind to sleep, in two different beds. With what he saw was a decent man. So he said, "Good evening." "Oh, good evening, sir. Nice to meet you." "Nice to meet you too," said the stranger. And well, he got into his sleeping things and went to bed. And the next morning, he was awoken with a loud thump. Startled, he went up. He got up and started looking around. And what did he see? The man whom he shared his room with was half dressed. He had put on his shirt, but his trousers were hung in the knobs of the dresser. And he saw how the man was looking as if he was going to run, and he actually did run, and he ran and he ran and he ran and he jumped, and he tried to put his feet inside the trousers. The man was stunned. What are you doing?" he said, laughing his head off. And the old man said, "Oh, good morning to you, sir. I didn't want to startle you, but every morning it's always the same. Why did they invent pants, trousers? Every time, every morning I have to get into them. I have to run and try to jump inside. Oh my gosh." The young man couldn't believe his eyes, and he started to laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh. And when you get laughed at, it's not very nice, is it? So the old man looked at him and said, What are you laughing at?" The young man said, "Have you never been shown how to use pants, how to put them on?" "Well, of course not. This is the best way. We grab one side of the pants, we put them in another knob. We put it on the other knob, and then I run and I jump. Basically on like the 8th or the 9th try, I get it. But man, I get so exhausted. Do you have a better way?" And the man laughing went to the dresser, grabbed the pants, and put them on. "That was fast. Well, you're a brilliant man," said the old man. And the young man couldn't stop laughing. He said, "That's the second silliest thing that I have ever heard. Let's see what the day brings along." So he got dressed, had breakfast, said goodbye to the old man, and left. And he walked and he walked and he walked from one village to another until finally he came to a third village. It was dusk. But nobody was sleeping. He heard a mob, an angry mob at that. Curious, he went there and he said, "What's going on?" And when he got close, he could see torches, fire, and people with shovels and rakes, an angry mob around a lake that was inside the village. What's going on here? The sun had completely set. He went there and he asked one of the people there, "What's going on? Why are these people so angry?" Shouting and screaming. "Can't you see?" said one of the person who he had talked to. "Look!" And he signaled the lake. And on the lake, there was something shining. Curious, again, he got close to the lake and pushing people around. And he saw how people started to whack at the lake. "What the heck are you doing?" he asked. "The moon has fallen." "The moon?" said the man. He looked down, he saw it, and it was the moon. But as you and I know, and he knew, it was just a reflection, but the angry mob didn't believe it. He said, "But the moon has fallen and we can't get it out. What's going to happen to our crops? What's going to happen to everything? The moon has to go up." And he started to laugh and to laugh and to laugh and to laugh, the man. And the angry mob got even angrier. Not of the moon, but at being laughed at. So they turned to him. He said, "What's your problem, stranger? What are you doing here?" And I was like, "Oh, wait, stop, please. But can't you see this is a reflection of the moon? The moon is up there. This is a reflection. This is probably one of the silliest things that I ever heard. He said, realizing that he did hear one of the silliest things that he had ever heard in his life. But the angry mob did not believe him. And even though they were angry, they didn't want to hurt him or mean him any harm. So they just threatened him to leave. He said, "No, no need, no threats. I have my own business." And he left. And as he was a man of his word, he traveled back to his future bride. And then when he came to the farm, he found the family. And they were happy that he had come back. He kept his word. He had found 3 sillier things than what this family had said. And he married his sweetheart. Now, if he and her, if they had lived happily ever after, that neither you nor I will know. Well, thank you so much. Another great story. The Three Sillies. I really don't know what to say. I haven't found like the source of this story. I don't know where it came from. As you know, we have German stories, we have Indian stories. Sam is here. Sam Mathai. I hope you're having a nice, cup of tea, as always. Tea and stories. I like the sound of that. And kind of like tea and books. That's what Elijah has. So I guess that's why I like the sound of it. Thank you very much, Avery. Applauding is actually the best way to give your appreciation to the audience. So I am going to accept those applauses. Thank you very much. My coach once said, or my former coach, he said, you should always accept the applauses of your audience, because that's the way they appreciate you. I was never the type of like, okay, please do not applaud me. And my parents would know that I do not like photos. And I think my dad, who's probably watching this right now, is just like, yeah, yeah, that's her. Yeah, she hates photos. It's not that I do not like photos. It's just that people take really bad photos of me. I'm probably the only one who takes good photos of myself, and probably one or two people who are no longer in the same city that I am. So, and the rest was like, oh my gosh, they took a photo of me like that. Insane. But, thank you very much. Thank you very much. So much applauses. Tea and Stories does have yes, it does have a nice ring to it, actually. So, another great story. Like I said, on Sunday, when I was, we were like chatting with Tim, I mentioned that these stories, like the stories that I have in my repertoire, are usually the ones that most stick. I do know, before I forget, I know there was a lurker somewhere in there. I hope he's still in here. Brightest day. Hey, Zach, thank you so much. I know you do the Pegasus. I know, and today you're not going to be doing it with everything that's going on with Drew. There's going to be no Pegasus tonight. But actually, Brightest, Zach, they do like the reading thing, and it sounds really, really nice. And he has a really nice voice, actually, for reading. So, and yeah, I mean, like I mentioned before, these stories usually stick with me because they do. I mean, I have heard so many stories from different storytellers. I have heard Peruvian stories. I have heard American stories. I have heard British stories. And I just don't know. It's like some stick, and just others, you kind of listen to them, you say, oh, that was a nice story, but they kind of just go away. So the ones that stick are the ones that, you can actually remember them 5 or 10 years later. So that's what happened to me with one of the stories that I started this live stream with, which was East of the Sun and West of the Moon. It's one of that's a Norwegian tale. Takes about 45 minutes to tell. Oh, thank you so much, TD. Thank you so much. It's hard work, actually. It's not just talent; it's hard work. Tabitha said that I'm not sure if one has the talent, but you have to hone the skills, and that's what we do, and that's why I do these live streams, because this is my way to hone my skills as a storyteller. So, like I mentioned, with East of the Sun and West of the Moon, what happened was I was in Canada, and I had this huge poster of East of the Sun and West of the Moon, and I had a tape, I remember, and I would put the tape, and I would, lie on my belly, and I would read the story as well as listening. And I really love that story. It's a wonderful story about lost and found and redemption. So it's a beautiful tale. And what happened was I lost it because, as you know, I moved around a little bit, and I lost that poster. I lost that tape, but the story was always there. So after years, I mean, literally years, I got into storytelling. I looked up this story again. I always knew, like, east of the sun and west of the moon, and I had some sort of like the gist that it was a bear, it was a girl, it was, and she had to find him afterwards. And it was amazing because it was 15 years or more later, and I still remembered the story. So those are the ones that really, have a deep impact, and the ones that stick, and obviously the ones that I love to tell, because one of the things that storytellers do have as a rule, and I do believe, well, you can have your own rules, but I think this one applies to basically any storyteller. Never tell a story that you don't like or that you don't love. And I have had experiences with that. I'm going to tell this really quick. Oh, thank you. Ro is here. For those of you who do not know what Spanish, it says a marvelous talent. It's a great pleasure to hear your stories. I didn't know you were here. Ro, thank you. So nice to see people. Really, you guys are really all my good friends. I'm very, very blessed to have you guys in my life, truly. And I was going to tell just one little anecdote. Like a few years back, I was asked by the university, which I am now part-timer, to tell a story, a Peruvian story, to international students who were doing like 1 semester here or 2 semesters. And as a welcome, they asked, dances and stories. So obviously I was the storyteller at the university. I had my club of storytellers. So I got the kids, I got the guys to tell their stories. And I trained myself to try to tell one Peruvian story. And it was, I took the challenge saying, well, I got to do this because even though I enjoy Peruvian tales and South American tales, they just don't ring to me. I love listening to them, but telling them is another story. So I tried, and it just didn't come out right. And both myself and my club members knew it. They knew it. Afterwards, it just didn't come out right. It just didn't come out authentic, as if something was like missing, And it was actually an urban tale of how one of the beaches got the name of the beaches here. So it's like my kids were like, Maria, what happened? It didn't feel like when you tell your tales. And I'm like, that's because it was rehearsed and it was pressured. It wasn't a tale that was, had a deep impact on me, but, I had to push myself. Now, it's good to push yourself, but it's very important that the story really, really rings a bell. And I think a lot of people, which is why I think, like the story of Star Wars resonates with a lot of people, and a lot of people discuss it, as well as Lord of the Rings. It's a story that resonates and has deep impact, and there's so much lore, and everybody keeps talking. Why? Because it really gets to people. The same thing happens with lore and with stories and traditional tales. It has to happen. It has to have the deep impact. But anyway, I think te queremos mucho. Yes, I love you guys too. Thank you so much for the beautiful words. I really got excited in tell you guys all this. I hope I didn't bore you. I really don't. But anyway, with this, we start off a new thing, a new season. I like to ask all of you just one little thing. I was recently contacted by a person who is a director, a movie director, actually, independent. And he wanted me on his podcast, but he also wants to come onto the show. Now, I'm kind of, saying, well, it's kind of, it's not that I don't want you on my show, but it's just that we're just starting off the second season. And I don't know if you guys would like to meet him, but on this stream, or if it would be better to do it like on the audio podcast, which is also Unlocking Lore. So I'm gonna throw out that question, and ask you guys. You guys know. Scarred of Scuttlebutt podcast knows a lot about podcasting and live streams. I know Phil does his own live streams. So I'm kind of, undecided, So, okay, TD would like to beat him on the stream. It would not be storytelling, It would be a completely different thing. It regards to story, but more like the film industry, more than traditional tales, which is why it was kind of like, my thing is traditional tales. It's a different type of storytelling. But he was like really, he was like kind of persistent, saying, well, your audience might get something good out of it. And definitely, but I don't know if it, kind of could. Maybe I'll just postpone it to like a few episodes further, so that people can, kind of enjoy the tales, because that's what this show is about, just traditional tales. But yeah, okay, so sure, we got TD. Would like to meet him. Okay, sure. And you guys, you can see on the top of the screen and on the pin, I have put my my Stream Elements tips if you guys want to help me out, or if you guys want know people who would like to help out with this stream. All the donations, by the way, all the tips are going to be for the equipment to upgrade my equipment for podcasting and for live streaming. So keep that in mind. Also, down in the description below, you're going to find my Teespring store. You're going to find and the Stream Elements tip page. So okay, sure. Thanks. Thanks a lot for the feedback. And with that, I am going to say good night. Sam, have a good Friday. You're starting your day. And Jason, TD, Phil, Rose, thank you so much for coming. Mrs. R2 and R2, it's always a pleasure to see you guys here. With that, I'm going to say good night, everybody. Oh, stay tuned. Next Monday, we have, if I'm not mistaken, R2, I think we have After the Weekend with Cool Runnings. That's going to be awesome. So if not, it's going to be the other Monday. I'm not sure. Oh my God. Anyway, good night, everybody.